Speaking of dads that are no longer around, here's a very interesting call we got that has to do with ways that we remember our fathers. Listen to this.
9287, hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Alexander in New York City.
Alexander, do you use the whole name?
Most often, yeah, although a lot of people call me Alex, and in high school I was Al.
Yeah.
Or Yo Al.
Yo Al.
Yo Al.
Okay, you'll be Yo Al. What's up, Al?
Well, I have to preface my question by saying that my father was Leonard Bernstein.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he had a sort of lifelong quest for the perfect convertible.
Did he really?
To menace everybody else on the road with.
I always knew I liked that guy. Really? He was a convertible person.
Yeah, in the olden days when his show was sponsored by Ford Lincoln.
Maria.
Oh, don't get him started.
I just met a girl.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear you sing that.
But I have to say that of everything he ever did, nothing was as inspired as Puerto Rico, my heart's devotion, let it sink back in the ocean. That was inspired, man.
Well, I think you got to give Steve Sondheim credit for that.
Well, yeah, he did the words, right?
Yeah.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you in the music business, Alex?
Oh, no.
Ander?
No, I took some piano lessons and
And
Failed.
It wasn't right. It wasn't right. It wasn't in your heart, huh?
So, I mean, what do you do,
I
if you
love
don't mind my
music.
asking?
I'm a teacher by trade
Of?
English and drama.
So the arts are still in
Oh, yeah.
in there. I
And
mean, I
also,
didn't figure you for a concrete contractor.
Sometimes I wish I were.
Yes, you were, right.
No, I also run a foundation that my father started, Arts and Education.
Foundation, concrete foundation.
And you
Yeah,
work
right,
you work
exactly.
right in Manhattan?
Uh-huh.
And you live in Manhattan?
And I live in Manhattan.
And have you got a car?
Yes, I have a car.
Yeah, what's the problem?
All right, it's not a problem. But when I was 12, we spent the summer in Italy, and my father, one of his convertibles, he decided to buy a Maserati. And so he was in love with this car, and the guy that sold it to him said that when he downshifted, he should do this thing called double clutching, you know, where you,
Right.
you on the way down, while you're in neutral, you
Let the clutch out.
give it,
Let
you
the
let
clutch
the clutch
out,
out, give it
then you
gas,
put it back in again.
and
Right.
then you put it back in. So I thought this was the coolest thing in the world. And then when I got my first car, a horrible Capri, used Capri, I started doing this, and I've been doing it ever since because I just remembered how cool it was when my father did it in the Maserati.
Now this Maserati was like a 50-something.
Oh, it was, it must have been 68, 67.
A 67 Maserati.
Oh, it was beautiful.
So it was brand new.
It was brand new.
I think this Italian mechanic gave your father bogus information.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a given, isn't it? that was redundant. I'm sorry. 67. I mean, it's so unlike. The only reason that you would ever have to double clutch is if you don't have a synchronized transmission. This transmission doesn't have what we call synchros in it.
Synchromesh transmission. And,
Right.
And the Maserati must have had a synchromesh transmission. I mean, by that time, virtually everyone had one. And certainly a high-end car like that would have had it.
Sure.
Which would obviate the necessity for
Of double clutching.
Double clutching. The reason you would double clutch is to match the gear speed so that you wouldn't get gear clash when you shifted, especially downshifting.
Uh-huh.
So you would let the clutch out while the thing was in neutral, and you change the engine speed, usually bring it up if you were upshifting so that the gears would be turning at the same speed so they wouldn't clash and grind when you made your shift. And it would take some practice to figure out exactly how much gas you would have to give it between shifts.
Right.
And I have to say, though, that once you had learned the technique, it is a magnificent way to drive.
Oh, I love it. But I'm just wondering
Totally
if I'm missing-
unnecessary, but it makes you feel
Like you're racing.
like you're really doing something.
And you will never unlearn this. I mean, you've been doing this for years, obviously.
Yeah.
You'll never unlearn it. But it looks cool, doesn't it? I mean, do people ask you all the time what you're doing?
Sure.
Yeah.
And you
And
say,
it feels cool, too.
And you say, I'm double clutching.
That's right.
And they say, wow.
and there's nothing wrong with doing it, really.
Oh, that's
But it does put a little extra wear on the clutch and the release bearing and the clutch cable and the linkage and the pedal assembly and all that.
Have you been running through a lot of clutches on all these cars that you've owned in the past 10 years?
No, as a matter of fact, I never did.
You never did?
No. Everything else has gone wrong, but not the clutch.
So what is it that you're driving anyway?
Saab.
A Saab.
900.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, I would continue doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm relieved to know that I'm not ruining my car.
Well,
you're not ruining your car. You're not ruining your car.
well, you are ruining your car.
No, don't tell him that.
I mean, we can be honest. Alex is an adult here. He can take it. You are, but in the long run, what's the difference? You're never going to break yourself of this habit. So it's better that we just tell you that you're not ruining your car, and you can go off happy and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, just forget you ever called us. But if nothing else, it will remind you, every time you double clutch, it will remind you of that wonderful summer you spent in Italy.
Yeah.
It'll remind you of your dad.
Exactly.
And the joy he's brought to everyone.
Yeah,
And that's the
good
reason
enough.
why you should continue to do it.
And in fact, I think everyone who has a manual transmission should double clutch in honor of Leonard
Oh,
Bernstein.
I love it.
I mean, I am going to start double clutching my car, and every time you do it, you say, Puerto Rico, my heart's devotion.
Well, someone's going to have to write a song for us, and I'm sure one of our listeners in your father's inimitable style will be able to write a song using his music and putting words which have double clutching.
I'm sure someone will do that.
Oh,
As a
great
theme.
Yeah,
idea.
I think it's a great idea. We should all double clutch in honor of Leonard. And when people say, "What are you doing?" I'm Bernsteining. You mean you don't do that when you drive? Everyone will do it.
Oh, so we can change the
You can
whole
change the
terminology.
whole thing, and then think 100 years from now when people are trying to figure out what the hell is this called Bernsteining for, nobody will know. Just like now you dial the phone. It's got no dial,
Right.
but you dial it. And
All right.
20 years from now, even now, kids say, why is it called a dial?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a dial. It's push buttons.
Yeah.
So this will become known as Bernsteining the clutch. I'm
Or burning out the clutch, whichever you
burning
prefer.
out the clutch. Hey, Alexander, thanks a million for your call.
Thank you guys. You're my heroes.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bernsteining the clutch. I love it. Actually, we did get many, many wonderful submissions. My favorite was, I double clutch in America. I don't remember the rest of the words. You get the idea.
Well, I'm certainly going to think of Leonard Bernstein whenever I replace the clutch at the garage.
Yeah. Whenever a customer hands you $600 for a clutch job, you can just say, thank you, Lenny.
A clutch job. Leonard Bernstein just got me a clutch job.
Well, speaking of repairs, that just about exhausts. Get it? Exhausts our collection of calls about fathers and cars.
Well, I thought it was very instructive of him, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I confirm what I already know from my teenage son, that every kid thinks his or her father is a complete moron.
Well, that's true, but I think we also learned that someday, if you're patient, your kids will figure out that you're not quite as much of a moron as they think you are now.
I am eagerly awaiting that day.
Well, so am I.
So's Dad.
Sure he is.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Highbridge audio presentation.